Here is another iteration of the 39mm titanium ProPilot X with the in-house 5-day caliber 400 within. And as I look at this, I think this has an excellent size at 39mm. It has a comfortable lightweight fit. It has a very solid bracelet and a quite, ingenious clasp system that fits at home on a pilot's piece, a modern pilot's piece with this spring lock latch system. Overall, the PPX is a unique design, and Oris as a brand, I give them some extra respect, just with them being a truly independent Swiss brand. They've been independent since 1904, so over 100 years of sustained success, and not many watch brands can boast the same thing. Now, this particular PPX laser has a sizable premium over the initial color releases, the salmon, the gray, and the blue. I have reviewed the salmon. I think that's a beautiful watch. But the premium on this laser edition is $900. And what does that get you? As I've spent time with this watch, it really gets you one thing, and that is a dial like no other on the market. Now, Oris says that this dial, quote, has not a single drop of color pigment on it, close quote, but as you can see, there are hints of blue, green, and a purplish tone that fade in and out depending on the light source and depending on the viewing angle. The dial has a vertical grain finish. All of the text has a dark dimensional look to it. If I'm honest here, it's a very beautiful dial. Now, Oris is partnered with a Zurich-based research lab called ETH Zurich to create the dial, and it's been engineered to only reflect blue, green, and purple light waves, and this is the reason why you can only see these colors without there being any color pigment additions to this titanium dial with the vertical grain finish. And it kind of makes you wonder what the entire titanium watch would look like with this laser treatment, and maybe that's an only watch idea for Oris in the future. Now, the color effect, it kind of reminds one of the iridescence sheen that you would see on soap bubbles or some feathers or some minerals or beetle shells or seashells. I know iridescence occurs in nature, so this synthetic representation done by a secret process, Oris calls biomimicry, meaning it's mimicking something that's naturally occurring. It's mimicking the effect of naturally occurring iridescence. I have no idea how it's created, but Oris does say that it is a state-of-the-art lasering technique, and whatever that technique is, I think the effect is very cool, and it really is unlike anything on the market, and that is the reason for the $900 premium over the standard color versions. And whether or not you think that that premium is worth it for this specific dial, I think that's a subjective question that you'll need to answer for yourself. Now, this ProPilot X laser is the only PPX to not have the date complication. The other 4 versions, including the recent Kermit release, has a date at the 6 o'clock position. And now I'll touch on a couple other aspects of the watch. This has a sapphire crystal that's set above the turbine, that twisted turbine fluted bezel, and this shape of the crystal is double domed. It has anti-reflective treatment on the underside only of the crystal. And honestly, the ARC is pretty decent, but it could be better. You will notice reflections while you're outside in natural light. And that, paired with the fact that the dial is not a high contrast dial, it will take an extra second or two to read the time in some situations. So there is some practical give and take when it comes to this novel dial finish or treatment. But surprisingly, the black tone lume is pretty bright in low light conditions. It will glow a cyan blue color and will be the only part of the watch that has lume. Now, the other thing that I really like about this piece is the movement. Now, this is not the first in-house movement that Oris has developed, but I think that it is the most important one that they have done to date. And why do I say that? Well, you consider the specs here, the warranty, the price of the watches that these calibers are found in. They don't break the bank. In fact, this movement is regularly found in watches that compete against others sporting basic Sellita, ETA, or Le Jeu Perret calibers, and they do it between $3,000 and $6,000. So I think that's quite impressive. It's an example of Oris bringing the value. Now, the Caliber 400 has a blasted industrial type of finish, which I do think looks at home in a sports piece like this one. It would not look at home in a dressier piece. So in a sports piece, I like the finish. I like the Easter egg of seeing the bear form, the icon of the brand. This will have a silicone escapement. This is anti-magnetic to a threshold of 2,550 Gauss. There will be twin barrels that hold 120 hours or up to 5 days of power reserve. The movement beats at 4 Hertz. It's regulated in 5 different positions. It's accurate to a window that's tighter than COSC tolerances, and that nominal value is -3 to +5 seconds a day. Now, the gear train has been engineered to improve overall efficiency and energy transfer. So this is one of the reasons why it can hold such a ridiculous power reserve for the size of these twin barrels. And to quantify that savings, it's about 15% more efficient than common competing calibers. It will have a 10-year-long warranty and a 10-year-long recommended service interval. So again, it's a total spec monster. And when I compare the specs, when I compare the design and the finish against other calibers that are found in watches that cost between $3,000 and $6,000, I find this more impressive than most, and that's one of the reasons why I really like this movement, and I find it so significant for the brand. Now let's summarize the overall pros and cons of this PPX Laser Caliber 400. I really like that this is a modern pilot design that's comfortable, it's strong in the design, it's unique with where it sits in the market. It has a very interesting layered laser dial that has biomimicry ideas behind it. It has an excellent bracelet that I think really completes the overall package and takes it up to the next level. And again, it has a spec monster in-house movement from a truly independent Swiss brand. What about negative elements? Well, this does have a $900 premium over the standard colorized dials. That's as much as, a solid watch in and of itself. And it's really for a no date, and it really is for this dial. So whether or not you think that premium is justified, that I'll leave up to you, but it is a significant cost increase. And with that, it is difficult to read at times, but overall, such a cool piece. Thank you to Oris for lending it in. I will leave links in the description to Oris, to their site, to their social media. Please reach out with any questions, and please subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. I would appreciate that, and I'll see you next time.